We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to ReelChat on Sundays with myself, Nate Mill, and Chris Carter. We're so excited to have you guys with us here today. Chris, good morning. How you been, man?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm good, my friend. How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great. A lot of stuff is coming out right now, man.
A
We're hitting
lot of
that.
stuff.
Dude, I've never been this more excited to see stuff come to film. You
It's
know,
great, because the pandemic's kind of ending, stuff's opening back up, theaters are opening back up. It's an exciting time for creatives and just people who kind of miss entertainment for the past 15 months. It's a great time. It really is exciting for sure.
dude, I feel overwhelmed with how much stuff's coming out. I mean, we have Spiral, we have Conjuring 3, we have The Quiet Place number 2 coming out and stuff like that too. We got TV and stuff like that as well coming out as well.
Yeah.
I feel overwhelmed with the stuff we could be talking about. You know?
I know it's exciting. It's great. I
Yeah.
couldn't agree more, man.
I'm literally like my list of stuff that we have topics to discuss is just like it's just huge right now. So I'm excited, and I'm even more excited about something that just returned to to the world. I would say from them as well. I mean, we haven't seen these guys in I don't know how many years, like 20 years on screen together at the same time,
Uh,
and I'm excited, man. I mean, it's the Friends reunion. How many
the
people that were
Friends reunion.
how many
Yeah.
people out there and friends themselves that were fans of the show wanted to see either like a small little clip or a special or something like that, but no, we got like a 2 hour thing on HBO Max, just going over them on the set again, like for the first time, like as they stated on it, since it was 9 years since all three of them, or I should say all six of them, were on the same set, or even in the same room together. So I'm excited to get that. Excited to jump into it. And today we have my wife Rachel. It's her favorite show on the cast right here
Yeah.
with us today as a guest. And I don't know of a month that I have not lived with her that the show Friends is not on our TV.
Yeah,
So
that's probably true.
yeah, Rachel, what did you think of it?
Of the reunion,
Yeah, of the reunion.
it was really good. I didn't really have much expectations because I had seen a few crappy reviews. I didn't read the reviews, but I was just like, I don't care. I just want to see them together again. So I didn't really have anything they had to meet up to or measure up to.
Hmm.
So it was very pleasant. It was much more even emotional than I expected it to be, just because it's such a ingrained show in my heart that's just always there. And they really touch on, how that has affected multiple people around the world in the reunion. That it, got a lot of people through a lot of really hard stuff, which it did for me as well. So it was very heartwarming and emotional to see all that and to go over my own memories and past that friends had to do with as well. So it was emotional on all different levels. It was not what I expected, but it was really good.
That's good. I think we all were very pleasantly surprised, like to see how not only just them talking and stuff like that, just what they went over. Like they had so many guests from the show that showed up with them as well too. Not only just Tom Selleck who played Richard, but the girl that played Janice and stuff. They even had uh, Tyler. I can't remember his full name, but the guy who played Gunther, Tyler. His last name is Tyler. Show up on a Zoom meeting even though he wasn't able to be there and stuff like that. The one guest I wish that they had included that they didn't was Paul Rudd. I would have loved to see Paul Rudd show up with them again. That would have been awesome.
I think he just looks too young.
Yeah,
It would make all of them mad. Not many of them aged that well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So even when they had Reese Witherspoon do her video, it was just like night and day. Reese is the same age as they are, maybe a few years younger, but she looks a lot younger than they do. So
hmm
I would wonder if their producers or whatever told them, yeah, I don't think we should have people that look that much younger than you right next to you.
right. I mean, maybe. I
So
mean, it's just crazy. Paul Rudd is he's immortal. He is a natural treasure. He does not age. If you look at him from Friends in 19, no, not, no, he wasn't there. 2004, 2003, right? That's when he was on the show for 2 seasons at the end.
mhm.
And then you
Yeah.
look at him now, he looks exactly the same. It's just,
Yeah.
Even
it's
yeah,
nuts.
if you go all the way back to like 40-year-old virgin, that's a whole other tangent. But yeah, he definitely does not look any older than he was when he was
No,
25.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think I teared up the most when they were reacting to their castmates showing up on the set again. I think it was David Schwimmer was the first one, and then Lisa Kudrow came on as well too. And just like hearing them and seeing them walk around on a set that I've been watching them for years, just walking around and they don't look the same. You know, it's just seeing that change was just like that hit me the hardest. I think it was just like Joey's got gray hair. You know, I mean, if I go back to my childhood, like Rachel was saying, there's two shows I can name that I remember watching since I was a little kid. I don't remember exactly the TV and stuff like that, where it was and stuff like that. I just remember what was on the screen. It was Cops and it was Friends. Those two are the two shows that I remember.
Stark difference.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, I know. It's crazy. I mean, of course, I remember all the cartoons and the kid stuff, you know. But Friends will always stick with me. And then after that was like Frasier and stuff, you know. But Friends definitely was there for the longest time. I think one of the earliest episodes I remember seeing was either Ross's wedding in the UK, or it would have been what is it when everybody finds out. I think those are the two episodes. I will always remember Lisa Kudrow yelling out the window, just like, "Oh my eyes!"
Yeah. Her table read on that was great too. Like her table read was fantastic when
It was identical, yeah.
Yeah, she was great in that.
Right?
Fun.
And Ross and Jennifer, well, I should say David Schwimmer and Jennifer.
David.
Yeah, my gosh. When they were doing their table read with the first time they kissed and stuff like that, and that was really fun. Rachel, what was your favorite part from the reunion?
I think the funness of them doing the trivia game was really neat after they were talking about how it was one of their favorite episodes.
Yeah.
That was a neat little idea to mix it up a little bit, but seeing them walk into the room definitely kind of got me all started up on, memories and everything like that, the past and the present colliding basically, and feeling what they were feeling. And then just seeing people's testimonials from around the world about how deeply affected them, and it made me feel a sense of camaraderie as well, because I never really thought about that other people would be going through hardship like I was and reach for the same show. I mean, it makes sense since it was so effective. I'm like, oh, okay, well, it's just my show, whatever. So it was an interesting thing that I didn't expect, to feel that connectedness with people across the globe.
Yeah, I remember, what was it? The one kid that's saying, I was afraid to talk to girls, and I learned that from Joey. I learned how to be more outspoken, a little more confident and stuff like that. So seeing somebody like that do that, I mean, think about it. I mean, like, it's still on the air, that show, you know? Yeah. And honestly, I think it has aged incredibly well, more so than most other shows from that time period, if I think about it. Yeah, Chris, what did you enjoy from the show, from the reunion?
The energy that the actors, the genuine energy that they had when they first walked in. Everybody's mentioned that, and it's true. With the music, and it's someone going home after being away for 20 years, and so I thought that was cool, and seeing them kind of float from different sets, from the apartment to the big apartment to Central Perk. I think that was really cool, and I think the two Matts seem to genuinely enjoy kind of gravitating towards each other, and they do. Matt LeBlanc just seems so happy to be around everybody else, and he always felt that way on Friends, and then to see them in the reunion, he's just kind of the magnet. And Schwimmer had just a great charisma to him. It's just he really worked the room and seemed like he was just had great energy, and it was just fun to see, because like Rachel said, it brought back a lot of memories. I mean,
for sure.
I haven't watched an episode for a long time, but there was a time when I would watch them all the time. So it was really cool. I didn't know. Did you guys know that Ross and Rachel were kind of crushing on each other?
Oh, you could tell. You could tell. I mean, honestly, it's hard when you're with somebody that long in a very romantic relationship, when it's like, especially one where it's like, will they, won't they kind of thing. And I mean, it was up. How many seasons, Rachel? I'm gonna ask my Friends pro here. How many seasons did it take for them to actually finally get together?
I think it was 3 full seasons. This is I'm not great with the memory of the timeline, but I believe it's 3 full seasons before they get together because it's after he goes on the trip with Julie.
Yeah.
The dig in where I can't remember, he went in Japan or something.
China.
And then comes back, and so it's the end of the 3rd season, I believe. And so into the 4th, they're dating a little bit. Then they break up for 3 seasons, I believe, or one, and then almost get back together. Then they don't get back together, and then another 2 go by, and then they get together. Then they break. It's always back and forth like crazy.
It's like life, yeah.
Rachel, do you have a favorite episode or maybe favorite 2 episodes that really kind of stand out, like in the catalog of Friends?
I have the deluxe box set, so when I have to put one in, I generally start on the 5th season, because going into the 6th season where Chandler and Monica are hiding their relationship is just my favorite. It's so funny to me. So I would always gravitate toward those. As far as specific episodes, the one where they're moving the Ross couch, the pivot one,
Yeah,
that
pivot,
one always makes everybody laugh.
Yeah. If everybody's ever moved a couch or moved your friends while they're moving in college or something like that, I don't think of it. I remember being in college and yelling pivot and never being like, oh yeah, Friends and stuff like that. You say that now, like half the people know what you're talking about.
Yeah, everybody knows what pivot means when you're moving something. It's so true.
And don't be modest, Rachel. You have more than just the deluxe box set. She's got the shirt that says "Frankie, say relax," that Ross and Rachel fight over when they break up. She's got the Central Perk mug that's got all the lines and famous quotes from the show. 7.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's probably, I have more paraphernalia from that show than any other movie or show.
Yep.
I don't even realize it, but yeah, I guess I really do.
Not to mention, she's
the
got
pops.
the entire Friends cast pop series, which Chandler, I think alone, was $200.
What? Really?
It's the whole collection is a couple $1,000.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And you
That's
you can't really find them anymore.
Yeah, you can't.
So.
Like, I think we found, like, we were looking for him originally, and we found a Joey, because Joey and Chandler are holding the chick and the duck. And I think the Joey was like $350 in himself.
Oh, holy shit.
Yeah, and that was
That's
2.5 years
awesome.
ago, 3 years ago.
Right.
So after this reunion, I don't even know. I kind of want to look them up and see.
I want to watch that. I want to watch that reunion again, because just watching them watch bloopers. You know people have bloopers and stuff, but I don't think I've ever seen somebody just laugh at their own selves watching the bloopers in real time like that in a while. I don't think I've seen anything like that. That was fun to watch. I really enjoyed watching them see each other, and just the small little pieces of information that would come up, like in the very first moment that Matt LeBlanc walks into the Monica and Chandler's apartment area, and he's like, "Hey, does Courtney still have her lines written on the table?"
Written on the table. Yeah.
I was like, "What? Oh my gosh, that's funny." He's like, "Yeah, I knew she had this huge speech, so I went in there and erased them all." Oh man, that reunion was beautiful. I love it. Rachel, do you have to go? Do you have to go, or do you want to share any other information you have on it?
I'm just here to chat with you guys. I do have to take off though, so my break's over. But I really appreciated you guys inviting me on, and
Of course.
I'll probably just mute myself and listen, because I can listen to this. I can't listen to the other one.
Okay, that's fine. That's completely fine. Thanks for coming on the show, babe. I mean,
Thank you, Rachel.
Chris, I could not do a Friends reunion or even a Friends review without having Rachel on.
I totally agree. I'm so glad that she was on for this.
I know, right? Oh man. Chat, if anybody's listening, thanks, babe. If anybody's listening, at the end of ReelChat today, there's a little contest we have going on. I'm going to mention it as people come in and listen. We have a little contest at the end. There is a belief that each of the characters of Friends embody one of the 7 deadly sins. So if you guys can figure that out at the end, or you can write it in the chat, feel free to do so. Anyway, the reunion of Friends.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I would love to see. I want to find the numbers of how many people watched that just in the first day of the reunion, right? Okay, think about it, man. Netflix acquired the streaming rights to Friends in 2015, right? And they paid $100 million deal to do that, according to Nielsen. They did that. But remember when they were going to take it off, and Warner Media and HBO was trying to get it back? They paid an extra 100 million in that year in 2009 to keep it on there for that next year. Remember, they were supposed to take it off. It's the only show that I know that Netflix has done that. Because I know they were going to take off Office and all these other shows and stuff like that, but Netflix didn't go to bat for it. They went to bat for Friends.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
And HBO actually won in the end because the third year they were going to try and do it again. But HBO Max paid $500 million to have the streaming rights to Friends.
Yeah.
Just that number alone should tell people how big this show was. In my opinion, it's probably the best sitcom show that I've ever seen. I'm just gonna throw it out there. I love, you know.
You mean comedy, right? You mean
sitcom,
comedy, though.
situational comedy. Yeah, sitcom.
Okay.
I love Big Bang Theory. I love how I Met Your Mother. And each of these have certain aspects and certain things that make them their own. But Friends will always be my favorite. That's just me. It aged well. It taught you certain life lessons and stuff like that as well, I think. And you know, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that it kind of struck lightning at the perfect time because I actually was. I mean, I am older now, and so I was around when Friends was airing on TV, and I would watch it. And I remember watching the last episode with my parents, and I remember watching even the terrible spinoff, the Joey spinoff, which, you know, that lasted I think for like three episodes, and it was tanked.
It has 2 seasons.
It lasted 2 seasons.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was some equity that the Blanc had for that because it was not good. And I remember really wanting it to be good. And they ran the first trailer at the end of the finale for Friends, trying to, use some of that fire. But I think it was great, man. I think it kind of hit at the right time because Seinfeld had ended. Mm-hmm. And if you remember, I don't know if you remember, NBC had this, must-watch TV, I think was their line, and it was on Thursday nights. Mm. And on Thursday nights, I think it was Mad About You, Friends, Frasier, and ER. Okay. And so for the longest time, NBC owned that window and that day because of all the programming that was on. Because we talk about Friends, and we're going to continue to do that. But Frasier was also an Emmy-winning comedy. Mad About You was an Emmy-winning comedy. Yeah. I think
Frasier is his own spinoff. It was a spinoff from Cheers.
From Cheers, and so you bring up the sitcoms. A lot of people will argue and say that Cheers is their favorite sitcom of all time because that's when more people started having TVs. That's when more people became like, let's watch this over dinner, or that's when it kind of became this place where people kind of gravitated towards. So Cheers, MASH, MASH was still for the longest time, I don't know if it is now, but that had the biggest, and again, MASH is in I think the 70s.
I was gonna say it was before Friends.
Well, right, but my point is sitcom is always kind of, has a really big hold on viewership because it doesn't alienate anybody. My mom can watch it, my dad can watch it, my brother, my sister, my girlfriend. All these, it's inclusive. It's not like horror where my mom's not going to watch it, or it's not like This Is Us where my dad's not going to watch it. All those are great shows, but sitcoms are all inclusive. Everybody likes it, so that's a very good metric of kind of what's good and what people will watch and what people want to watch. And so Friends is one of those shows where just kind of caught lightning at the right time too, because people were wanting to watch it. They got on this Thursday for NBC, they just plugged into their TV for 3 hours and it was a great 3 hours. But the characters became iconic. Ross's haircut, Rachel's haircut was
huge. 90s haircut. That was that.
Had a name.
I want the Rachel. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I don't know, it's funny, I look back on it and you can kind of see like nuggets of really good shows coming together. For me, we both watch Entourage. It's in the first episode of Entourage, so I'm thinking, damn, this might be good. And it's funny, for the third episode of Friends, I felt like that. And I remember them saying that they weren't sure about the first season, but at the end of the first season, they knew it was going to be something. Because I think it was 24, I don't know how many the episode count, but do you remember an episode for you where you thought, "Damn, this might be something"?
Well, I was so young at the time. I mean, I don't think I was thinking that.
Well, maybe you didn't remember that one, but maybe like you were kind of watching it because it was okay. Was there an episode that jumps out at you like, "Damn, this is really good television. This is really good writing, and this is really good acting"? Do Do you have one? Was it pop?
I mean, if I was to look back and like rewatch it again, just like from that standpoint, that mindset, the pilot is really great. You get to learn a little bit more about each character itself. Not so much Joey or Phoebe so much, but you still get a sense of their persona, right? And as you go on, and unlike other most sitcoms, where it's like, okay, think about How I Met Your Mother, right? All those guys are friends, but if I'm going to be completely honest, you don't really get to know Barney until like maybe season 6 or these other guys. You're following really Ted and then all of these other friends of his as he finds his future wife or his kid's mom. Friends, you know about everybody. It's not just about Ross and Rachel getting together. You got Monica and Chandler. You got Joey and his career. You got Phoebe and her crazy lifestyle and the people that she hangs out with and stuff like that too. You get more from Friends' actual dynamic of them than most other shows. I don't know if you want to, if you agree with me on that.
No, I do. I agree, and I think it's important to have those sub characters, and we talk about it in films all the time, where if you can make not your A characters, but your B characters as important as your A characters, and the audience has much more to kind of hang around for. I think True Detective does a great job of that, and so Friends, it's similar to that, where you actually you have these sub storylines. It's not just Ross and Rachel, but can carry it. Like when Joey goes to Vegas,
right?
Joey and Chandler. I was never a real big fan of Phoebe. I got it later because I felt that Phoebe was kind of. She was probably the least out of all of them that was that had until she got married, and then her storyline just kind of like it picked up. But until then, she was just kind of around enough. But for me, I really enjoyed the Ross Rachel story like everybody else did, and the Chandler Joey dynamic, and so
the best friends, the roommates.
Yeah, and then you introduce Monica to that, and then that becomes the dynamic between the brother Ross and then the best friend Chandler, and then it's just this natural bridge into having these overlapping stories that are comedic and just great, and so many storytelling. I thought it was cool to hear where they came from.
Yeah,
the creators, because I didn't know any of that.
No, that was cool. Having like the actual writers and producers on the set, like Crane, Kaufman, and Mark. Oh my god, I was really excited about that. And all of a sudden, you have little interviews with them too as it continues. Like, yes, we get to hear from the guys that created it and how they got hired, and like they broke down each person and how they got them on the show and stuff. It's funny. Jennifer Aniston has been friends with Adam Sandler for a really long time, right? When Adam Sandler was at the height of his career, he was on SNL. He was actually trying to get Jennifer Aniston on SNL. At the time.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was very self-conscious about her nose and stuff like that as well. Yeah. And when she was going through the process of trying to get on that, she had so many people saying, "Oh, that show's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to do your career," like she mentioned in the reunion as well too. And it literally jump-started her career. Most of these people were doing other stuff or really weren't that known. The actual writers said they did not want, what they say, stars. They didn't want stars on their show.
Yeah, they wanted knowns.
Right, and then like Game of Thrones, as the show went on, everybody wanted to be on that show. They were the front of covers of like Rolling Stones, TV Magazine, People Magazine, stuff like that too. Just everywhere. Even the iconic open song became a music video that you can watch out with them.
I remember that. Yeah, the music video had them in it. I 100% remember that.
Yep.
So yeah,
it got huge. It was like they couldn't walk anywhere without anybody knowing them. They still can't really do that, man. Each of them in their own sense, or they're stars of their own thing. That each of them have gone on to do something else.
Well, but yeah, I would argue that they haven't had really successful careers outside of Friends, but they don't really need to. I read a quote. I read something from, I forget where it was. It might have been Variety. They got in their last contract, they negotiated 1% of whatever Friends makes as residuals, right? And they get $25 million a year. That's each cast member.
Each $25 million. Jesus.
$25 million for doing nothing, for what you did 20 years ago at Her Long. So they don't have to do shit. And I would say that none of them have really caught anything. Joey now in this show, I think on Showtime, I forget what it's called. Or I'm sorry.
Well, he was in Top Gear. He was doing Top Gear, and then he was. There's this small little show where he plays himself, which was really great. Rachel turned me on to it. It's on Netflix called Pages. It's really good.
I think that's what I'm talking about on Showtime. It was initially on Showtime, and then it wrapped up, and I think it maybe got moved to Netflix. I'm not sure. Cool. I don't remember well enough. And then Jennifer Aniston has been in a ton of movies, but I don't think she's, she's kind of the same character in all the movies. But
Huh.
I mean, I'm not, you know what I mean? David Schwimmer kind of fell off the map. Lucy Kudrow was in a couple of episodes of something I watched on HBO years ago. But again, they don't really, for 10 years they were it. Maybe I think it was for 9 years they were.
Well,
it.
wasn't Lucy Kudrow the teacher in that one with Emma Stone?
I don't know. Was it a movie?
Yeah, it was a movie. She played
Well,
the teacher of, like, I can't remember what it's called. Easy A. Easy A.
Easy A came out like in the early 2000s, though, didn't it?
I
So
have
it's
no
like
idea. But I mean, like, they pop up every now and again, right? I mean, they do
Well,
their own thing. And
their career hasn't taken off. Well, I don't think it ever would, right? Because
how do you come back? How do you top Friends? Like,
there you go. That's it, right? It's like that might be it. Like I was talking to Dustin, and he's a huge How I Met Your Mother fan, and so like the lead guy Ted, he hasn't been in much, but he doesn't really have to. Your show ran for 10 years. You're collecting residuals. If you're not in it to make art continuously and evolve with it and have a story to tell, then you're made. You don't have to do shit for the rest of your life, and you are going to be a multi-millionaire. So
right.
there's something to say about that. You can say, I had a great 10-year run, and like, why am I going to come back and try and do something that's not, the pilot doesn't get picked up,
Right.
the movie gets trashed,
But I can't, like you said, I can't really pin down anything that those, if you were to compare it to How I Met Your Mother, which is, I think, the sitcom of our generation, because it was out when I was in college,
Yeah.
Which I was able to relate to that. I can relate to a lot of stuff from Friends, right? Now, but not when I was a kid watching it, of course, because that would have made sense. I was able to relate to like Barney and Ted and stuff like that too. But if you think about it, those guys really haven't been in a lot. I mean, besides what's her face? She was in Marvel. Was oh my gosh, I can't remember the name right now. I'm blanking.
Yeah, Colby Smothers.
Smothers, yeah.
Hill. Maria Hill.
Yeah, she was Hill. But that's really the only thing that those guys, besides anybody else, has been in the limelight since that show.
It's true.
Yeah. But if you think about Friends, I can name a movie that each of them have been in after Friends. Think about it, like Chandler had.
Sure.
If you think Matt Perry had Whole 9 Yards, Whole 10 Yards, the sequel. He had
that was during Friends though.
Was it during? Was it during?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me name something after that then. How about 17 again with Zac Efron? He was in that too. Okay. That was after Friends. Lisa Kudrow, she was in This Is 40 and also Easy A. Jennifer Aniston has been in a movie at least every other year, if not most of the Adam Sandler movies.
Yeah. How many of those are good? Like, how many of those are like, oh, this was a good movie?
Ooh, Rachel and I did watch one with Adam Sandler, which actually was really good. It was like a murder mystery.
The one where they go to Hawaii, where he's trying to impress Brooke Decker.
Yeah, dude.
Just go with it.
Yeah, love that movie. That movie's great. I mean, I know it's a chick flick, but it's still great.
Yeah, it is funny, but like Jennifer Aniston's got, and I'm not shitting on her. I think that what she did for Rachel is great, but every movie she's done hasn't been. Although I will say this, there's a dramatic movie she did. It's called Cake, where she is
the mom.
So she was. And she was good in that, but it was an independent movie, and I think that when you take these giant roles, because I mean Jennifer Aniston can't go anywhere and be recognized. People will know who she is as soon as she walked.
I would easily say that she's the most recognizable of them all.
Of the cast, yeah. Yeah, because she's been in she's done a couple of movies too. I mean,
and I love We Are the Millers, that comedy with Sudro.
That
one, dude, that was hilarious. Oh my god, that one was funny.
But she's just, I don't know.
Let's think about it. Horrible Bosses. Oh my god, the Horrible Bosses movies.
But those are like throwaway roles. Those are like she's not carrying the movie. She's just in the movie.
Well, she's one of the bosses in the first one. I mean, I would say she's definitely the antagonist.
It's about the three main characters. She's not one of those three main characters.
Okay.
Bateman.
Okay. The Switch with Jason Bateman was great. Bounty Hunter I thought was hilarious. Love Happens was not bad either, where she played that one role as well too. I mean, I would say that Jennifer definitely does have the bigger resume than most of these guys do.
Yeah,
right?
I would agree.
Lucy Kudrow is still getting a lot of work. Space Force. She plays Steve Carell's husband in that. She was so funny in that.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, that's true. You're right. That's true. I forgot about her in Space Force, and she did have a couple of episodes in there, but like it's just hard to follow that Friends up. It's just, and it's hard to follow any
I would,
big
yeah. I
series.
think with the topic you're saying, it's hard to follow that up. Yes, Friends was a huge success, and it's really hard for them to beat that. I would agree, 100%. I think so. Honestly, yes. But they're not like what my counter to what you were saying, that these actors didn't just do Friends and go with residuals and go and do their own thing. They're constantly
Well,
coming out
no.
with new stuff.
Well, they're not constantly coming out with it. What they're trying to do something and nothing's really landed for them, and so but that's okay.
Mhm.
Like if you're the sixth on the person on the call sheet, I mean that's okay. You're talking about these movies that Jennifer Aniston made. A lot of them are good. They're raw. They're funny comedies, and Gerard Butler is he in The Bounty Hunter. I forget who's in that.
No trouble.
But,
You got it right. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like they're bad movies. They're just just maybe it's my expectations of someone who comes out of doing something that I expect them to do something with a little more punch to it. And so but it would be impossible for any of those guys. You mentioned How I Met Your Mother. Yeah, none of those people have done anything really since that came out.
No.
And and again, I'm going to quote Entourage, and Vince didn't want to do Aquaman because didn't want to be typecast for a couple years, and so that's exactly what happens when you're in really successful shows on network television. You become typecast, and that's why when David Schwimmer was on Entourage, he wanted to swear, he wanted to be kind of an asshole. It's just so he could show people that he wasn't Ross. Ross wasn't
Right.
who David Schwimmer was.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, he was doing what, theater? They said he wasn't interested in doing
yeah,
TV.
that's crazy, right?
And he was doing theater, and they're like, "No, come back. It's gonna be a different vibe for you. It's different. We'll definitely take care of you. We wrote this with your voice in mind and stuff. And he's like, "Cool, we did it." And oh my gosh, I love David Schwimmer. I mean, he was great in playing the mini thing with O.J. Simpson when he's the attorney. I can't remember his name.
He was great in that.
No, he was great. I think he's a great actor. And one of my favorite miniseries after Friends that he was part of was he played a real life guy, Captain Sobel, in Band of Brothers. That whole pilot episode, Band of Brothers, is focused around David Schwimmer because David Schwimmer played not so talented officer in World War II with the Airborne. And David Schwimmer was amazing in that role, and he was a real life guy. He wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was great in that. I mean, I constantly watched that pilot episode of Band of Brothers. Might not finish the whole thing just because of the boot camp vibe from that show. And David Schwimmer did amazing.
I think that came out during Friends, though, because
I think it came after.
No, I think it came out during Friends.
Okay, so Friends ended in 2004, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Band of Brothers came out in... Son of a bitch. 2001.
Yeah, 2000. Okay, yeah, yeah.
Man.
But you're right. But you are right. He did play a role that's different from Ross in that, and he was different, and he was good in it. I mean, not discounting your point, but again, he was still doing Friends when that came out. I don't think that detracts from your point. I don't think that's the point you're
not
trying
so
to
much.
make. But
no, I was just making that like they definitely have some of these actors. I feel definitely have a vibe about them that they can actually portray and do different roles than Friends typecast them as. I mean, I think LeBlanc even has at his core the necessary depth to even play somebody that might not be funny or good. He could even play a villain. I could definitely see him doing something like that.
he was in a film, and it was right after Friends, and I can't think of what it is right now, where he was kind of a captain who it was one of the movies you get for free when you first bought a DVD player. I can't remember what the fuck it was, but he was in charge. He was not jokey. He was very serious, and I'm gonna look it up now because I watched part of it. The film was terrible. He was okay in it, but it was one of those situations where he definitely was not playing Joey, or there was no essence of Joey in this character. But yeah, it was cool to see them trying to get a go at being different from what they were like Courtney Cox in a Scream.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she was like in Scream. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. She was one of the main girls.
Yeah, Gail Weathers is nothing like what
Monica
Geller is. Yeah, so.
And Vermont Skull makes a good point in the chat. Lisa Kudrow killed in Death 2020. I don't think I've seen that. I don't know what that is. Okay.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is either. I'll have to look at that. But yes, Death of 2020. I'm down for that.
Yeah. Yeah, right. But it's interesting, man. Like I think the only one that really stood out for me was Jennifer Aniston in Cake, and I thought that was I thought really good. That also had Anna, she's in Mike and Dave Need Many Wedding Dates. Anna something or other. I can't think of her name right now. Of course I'm blanking on it. But Cake was pretty good. Cake was the most different thing that I've seen any of them do, and do it well. And I think that one's it's a winner. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Definitely.
Yeah. Did you learn anything? Did you know? So going back to the reunion, did you learn anything from them? Tell me what you learned.
From the cast of Friends, or from the the reunion?
From everything. Just the reunion as a whole.
Make it broader. Make it broader for me, Chris, please.
I'm trying to throw you a softball. You'd be like, oh, I like this. It's great.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, it was really cool to learn how they all got cast, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, let's bring up the tough thing from the reunion that we all saw, right? Some like Rachel was even saying originally, my wife, not the show, was saying some of these actors did not age very well, right?
Yeah, she's 100% right.
Let's talk about the fact that we all know that Matthew Perry has had a substance issue even when he was on Friends. And most people think that he was talking the way he was because of his slurred speech or something, because he had some issue with substance abuse. Actually, the complete opposite. Matthew Perry has turned it around huge. The reason why his mouth was slurred in that way and why he wasn't talking as much as everybody else was because the day that people interviewed them, he had a very serious mouth and tooth surgery done on him. But being the frickin' powerhouse that Matthew Perry is for the show and how much a fan of it his own self is, he went forward the same day and did the interview with everybody and met everybody. Yeah. He was talking like that because of his mouth. He had surgery on his mouth that same day. I didn't know, but I thought it was something else. Yeah, you can tell that it was something was wrong with him. I just didn't know if it was because he was not clean again or something like that, because I know that he went through this huge thing. He's been to rehab 3 times. Yeah. And he even turned his Malibu house, his estate that he has in Malibu, into a rehab center for guys to help other people. I didn't know that. Yeah, it's huge, man. He's made such leaps and bounds to come back from where he was and stuff like that. He's even outspoken and says, hey, how cool is it that somebody else that had a huge issue with it, and I have all this, to offer, and all this knowledge and stuff. Why can't I give back to other people that might be similarly going through what I went through? Yeah, and I thought that was really cool.
And listening to him talk, it's clear that something was wrong with his mouth. It wasn't a drug issue. He was he was sharp in his eyes. His emotions weren't, he was sharp. But it's like if you've ever had a toothache, that's what it sounded like. You can't really open your mouth wide. You can't really enunciate because the wind going over your teeth. That makes absolute sense. I mean, if that's the truth, I can 100% see that, and that would be what I tell people too. Every time he spoke. That's what I got from it.
I was looking through the comments of people, because people had an 8-minute interview with them that came out a day before the reunion, and that was the day that it went down and stuff. And I was looking at the comments, and I just see nothing but love from the fans. They're just like, Matt Perry looks so sad. I want to give him a hug and tell him thank you, and how much of a blessing it is to have him on this today, doing this for us. And it was just nothing but love for him and stuff like that. And it was sad that he had that happen to him. He had to take that surgery. Hopefully he's feeling better right now, obviously. But it really touched it hurt me a little bit, because the one friend that throughout the whole show everybody made fun of with the enunciation, he wasn't able really to talk. Could I be even more right?
Yeah. Yeah, the speech patterns. He made that. We talk about Rachel's haircut, but that can I be anymore? Could you? That caught on too. People would say that all the time. So.
Oh, Ruma.
Could you be any more late?
Yeah,
could you be any more boring? All these fucking things. So it's so yeah, a lot of it came out. So okay, I mentioned it when we were talking with Rachel. I didn't know that Schwimmer and Aniston had a thing for each other. I mean, they had great chemistry on screen. Obviously, people love, I'm an Office guy, and I think, and
I know you're an Office guy.
but again, I'm not. I've Daphne and Niles from Frasier. Mm-hmm. There's always been, it's a great sitcom device to have 2 main characters, put them together in a relationship and just kind of see what happens. And if the audience likes it, or if the viewers like it, then they'll continue it. But Ross and Rachel is really there hasn't been a Ross and Rachel since Ross and Rachel. Like
No.
Pam and Jim.
Pam and Jim would be the
came
closest
close.
thing. Would be the
Yeah,
closest thing.
exactly. And so
Yeah.
to hear that, you always want to think as an audience member, like, oh, I wonder if Jennifer and David are messing around, or maybe like they really got something for each other. Well,
You
it's
could
like-
tell. You could tell. Rachel even brought this up before I did when we were watching it. You could tell when they were talking about it. All 6 of them just looked at each other, and there was like an unspoken like pact made between them all, where they weren't gonna say anything, and they're just like they started going through the BS, like, oh well, yeah, when you was somebody that close, and then all of a sudden Joey's just like, yeah. Bullshit. I'm like, he wasn't trying to be funny right there. He was totally telling the truth. Like, yeah, right. You guys didn't do anything. Come on.
Yeah, part of me thinks that too. Like, I totally agree. And that was a great, and they did a great job with that. They they got them together and they broke them up.
Yep.
And they kept them apart for like 2 seasons, 3 seasons, and then they kind of brought them together. I think when it was wrapping up towards season 7 or 8, 7, I think. It ran for 7 seasons, 8 seasons. Ran for 8 seasons.
10.
And then 10. No, it didn't run for 10.
10 seasons. It was 1994 to 2004.
Really? Because I thought Frasier ran for 10, and I thought Friends ran for 9.
Friends went for 10.
So then Frasier ran for 11. Okay, cool. The reason so they did something that a lot of sitcoms don't do. They'll break them up. They'll break them up, and then they'll keep them in the same circle and see how the kind of fallout happens. And a lot of sitcoms like that, at least that I've seen, haven't done that. I didn't get into How I Met Your Mother. By then I was already past sitcoms, I think, for a big part.
You were using a walker at that point?
I was, although I hover around now. My walker hovers, so I'm in good shape. But that's why Friends and Frasier resonate so heavily with me, because a lot of people learned or kind of fell in love with How I Met Your Mother because of the time frame of their age and how it relates to them. Friends and Frasier were kind of that for me. So
my buddy Amir got me into my friend Amir got me into How I Met Your Mother. He's like, oh, you didn't watch this? I'm like, it doesn't look good. I don't know about it. And then all of a sudden, at the very end of the last season, I was like, see? Wasn't very good.
Yeah. A lot of people love it, though. Like,
they do. But if you think about where they ended Friends, they could not have ended that show any better. They could not. They tied it up so well. It wasn't cliche, I feel like. If anything, it started the cliche. And if you look at How I Met Your Mother, that last season of How I Met Your Mother it pales in comparison to any of the seasons of Friends. Any of them.
I've heard that.
You could even compare it to the worst one, which most people feel is the worst, is the one where Rachel and Joey have that thing together. They're like, well, this is weird. I don't know if we like that. Most of the fans weren't really on board for the Rachel and Joey kind of thing. Which, if you're looking at it, dude, and you're looking at that happens. Sometimes when you're dating somebody, a friend of yours might fall for that same chick at that point. And your buddy might have been with them before. In college, that happened all the time. You're with those people that even you date, and all of a sudden they become your friends and your family and stuff like that, and then you're still hanging out with them and all. But one of them is like, I can't do this to so and so. This is so I don't feel comfortable.
Oh yeah.
That happens. Yeah. So that's why, in my opinion, that season's fine. I've seen that happen in real life. That's why I feel Friends just ages so well. They did so much with that show that was groundbreaking and new at the time, and took huge risks. Think about the first season. What was the issue with Ross? His wife was a lesbian, and they even had a gay wedding in the show at the time, where there was nothing like that. It wasn't like today, where people are way more accepting of that. It was way back when I was a kid. You were saying words that were now considered offensive and stuff. But back then, that was a huge risk, especially in your first season. Like the first pilot, you know that his wife's a lesbian. They even talk about it. You know?
And then towards the end, when Gabrielle Union, I think she was the first black love interest of Joey and Ross. They hadn't.
Yeah, she plays Lana from Archer.
Yeah, and so it was a big deal, And I know a lot of Friends catches a lot of flack from like different communities for not having a lot of.
Now, if you say diversity, I'm going to turn this off.
Well, but there is that, right? Because there is. So, but that's the one part that people are saying that hasn't aged well. Part of it, but I mean, I get it. That's the people on the Friends, I would argue, that's not where sitcoms were at that time.
No,
So I
and
get it.
you know what?
But you can't say that it aged. Well, for the most part, it aged very well. But that part, it's like why again Entourage. Entourage hasn't aged well because of, the homophobic jokes that it tells and the way it treats subordinates. So things age better than others when you look at them through a certain lens. And for the most part, Friends does age well, except when you look at the lens of diversity. That's all.
I don't want to. I mean, sure, if you want to talk about that, but at the time, think about how much it did do. It made women not sexual objects, but it showed their own sexuality in a certain sense that at the time nobody did. So in my opinion, it did a lot with what it had. I don't think cancel culture needs to jump all over Friends at this point.
I don't think
go create your own stuff. How much time how often I get upset when people say, "Oh, we're making the female Ocean's 11." And then it tanks, and they're like, "Oh, it's because you guys didn't watch it." No, because we've already seen it, and you're doing something that somebody else already did with a whole male cast, and you're trying to jump on, piggyback off of that. Go create something new, make it your own, and then have people follow that and make your own freaking community around that.
Well, I think Ocean's 8 failed because it wasn't a really good story.
No, but I'm saying that the directors say, "Oh, you guys didn't watch it because of the males didn't watch it." But that like Charlize Theron, I think, made the what was it? Oh shoot! It's got 3 women, and it was the revamp. Charlie's Angels.
Charlie's Angels.
Yeah.
And the girl who did it, I can't think of her name right now. She was in Hunger Games. She was Evie in Hunger Games, and I cannot think of her name right now.
Well, anyway, her topic was like saying, "Oh, we lost the viewership because the guys didn't watch it or something like that." Okay, do something new. You have that. It's a reboot. It wasn't like
again. It's easy for someone to say that if their film wasn't good. And the film, from people who had no stake in one side or the other, panned it because it was terrible. Like, it's not a good film. I had people that wanted to go see it because it was directed or produced by a woman about 3 females. Because that's not new for Charlie's Angels, but it just wasn't a good film.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. So I think that if you make a good film, then you can stand on those merits and say that. But if you don't make a good film and you say, "Oh, it was because my cast is all females or my director's a woman," that's not going to fly, especially for people nowadays that want to accept that. People want to see other minorities and diversity do well, and if it doesn't, then it destroys credibility if you put something like that in a platform where it doesn't deserve, because on its merits alone as a film it fails.
So
it doesn't matter who's in it.
I'm so good at this right now. I love this. Speaking of creating your own thing, Chris,
Yeah.
Omega. Here's your lead-in.
Omega.
Here's your lead-in. Did you like that? Did you like how I set you up like that? There you go.
That was good.
Chris has this show, a web series, guys, on YouTube called Omega. Check it out.
Yeah.
I'm already a couple episodes in. It's Chris, how many are you releasing every week?
So we're doing 1 a week. We decided to drop 3 the first week because the third season is really kind of a cliff. The third episode is really kind of a cliffhanger in terms of the story of where it's kind of going to go from there and how kind of everything starts to unravel. And Omega was always the brainchild of it started being a feature that's going to be told in 2 parts, and then it ended up being a web series because of COVID happened and the rights to get permits to film in the Los Angeles County Forest, which if you didn't know, it's like $1,500 a day just to be able to film out there.
$1,500
a day.
Oh my God! I'm out. Check me out.
Yeah, that's what I said too.
Clock me out, boss.
Right. We scaled it back and we decided to put out the best story we could. And I still think that I think it's a great story. I think that it's got parts of The Thing that's behind me, Aliens up behind me. There are elements of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. There's Invasion of there's.
I was gonna say you definitely, being you and your horror aspect, you definitely nodded to a lot of stuff in the show. I'm excited to see what happens next. I definitely noticed a lot of things just knowing how you write. Yeah. You wrote, directed, and filmed this, right?
Yeah, and that's usually how we do it generally. I'm gonna maybe come off the directing part of it and start focusing on the cinematography part of it, because I'm sure when you do that many things, some things will fall out. You won't focus on one, and then you'll miss something. And then when you're editing, you're like, "Fuck! If I'd have taken a little bit more time, or if I did this a little bit differently, it would have came out a whole lot better." So. It is written, directed, and filmed, which is a lot of hats to wear. But I mean, when you're excited about something, you find ways to make it work. And I think that we really, really have. And Jessica has been great. Honestly, her editing really kind of brought this thing to life. And then, the support group with Brittany, our lead actress. I mean, as you
Is
know,
this the
Nate.
first thing that Jessica's edited?
No, she's always edited. When like it's more of like she's took like the bulk of it, especially when kind of tightening it up and making it kind of giving it the last feel that it should have. Because the first edit you put together is usually mine, and then it's usually long and drawn out and it's paced like shit. So it takes someone who's kind of away from the project to kind of come in and be like, oh, let's move this around, let's tighten it up. And that's what she did. And I would say I give it to our cast, like Jim and Brittany, because I mean, Nate, when we film something, we don't film for 2 weeks in a row. We'll film a week here, 2 days there, a month here. Like it's it's like a year process just to get the shit.
I mean, Overwatch was definitely a year, because I remember starting at the end of summer, and then we went through winter and then spring, and then went right back to because then we did the reshoots. We went back and we did the stuff with you and Taylor running across and stuff like that. I know you guys did the fight scene out of sync, not out of sync, but out of like chronological order process as well too.
Yeah.
Because you needed all the extras. It depends on how you film it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
totally.
It was hot. We filmed your death scene actually when it was fucking hot. I remember it being stupid hot the day we filmed your death scene.
All the fake blood just made it worse.
Yeah.
All the fake blood just made it worse, dude. I was sweating because I remember like I was picking the wardrobe for that scene at the end. I was like, okay, cool. It's cold at this point. I'm gonna put this on. 6 months later, I'm regretting every decision I ever made, and I'm just going, why am I wearing these black pants? I've got a gun. I've got a gun belt on, and I got this stupid button up over a shirt. But
shit. Yeah.
I loved. I'm gonna sidetrack the discussion just a little bit. I loved watching my last scene, just hearing the audience's reaction when I'm beating up poor Taylor, and then just like everybody's just like, oh, he's a horrible human being. I'm just sitting in the office in the audience going, yes, I love it. Tell me more. This is it. That's the exact reaction I wanted. So it's just cool.
Well, people wanted to root for your character. I mean, I think your character really did nothing wrong. You know what I mean? And again, it's you look at like kind of Shane and Shane. I don't think Shane did anything wrong too. I mean, honestly, again, I'm a Shane guy. I think you know that. We've talked about it before. And I don't think he did anything wrong. And looking back at Overwatch and from the 10,000 foot view, I don't think your character did much wrong.
I am the hero of the
story. Get other people to survive. So like, yeah. I mean, if anybody, the main villain, this Overwatch is a whole nother thing. But
yeah. Hey, Ramad Skull, I wanted to. You're the only one that joined in on the contest here on this. You got very close with the 7 deadly sins, I will say. Let's start off from the top on that right here. Chandler is sloth for the 7 deadly sins. For the one,
is he sloth?
He's sloth. Think about it. When he doesn't want to do anything, what does he do? He does his whole week mantra where he's going to sit in his sweatpants in the same chair and not move.
Oh, yeah.
Right? He is a very hard worker, but he constantly talks about how he tries to get out of work, not going into his job. He'll show up like half an hour late, or when he is working, he's getting into trouble, not really doing much. He somehow, luckily, just stumbles through his job, getting promoted and doing all these other things, right? Think about it. The Thanksgiving or the Christmas holiday when he's in Tulsa, the job that he had to leave New York for, he took it because he fell asleep in the meeting. He's like, sure, I'll do it. And they're like, you have no idea what it is. He's like, it's fine. He just didn't want to get in trouble. And all of a sudden, he has a job position in Tulsa. They had no idea that he accepted. So, in the process for the 7 deadly sins, Chandler is sloth. The next one, very easy, Joey. Joey is gluttony. Absolutely is he gluttony. Yeah, Think about it. Like when they're all talking about which one would you give up, sex or food? He's like, too hard. Can't. Sex. No food. Sex. No food. No, I can't. I can't decide, Yeah. Joey doesn't share food. Just sums up that character just very, very well. Now, here's one where most people will differ on what I would say it is. Ross is lust. He marries and falls for women every single season. There's not a season where he's not getting into some kind of issue with his partner or his girlfriend or his fiance, right? Think about it was always him going back and forth with Rachel in college. He was obsessed with her and stuff like that too, right? He wanted to get, meet with her and stuff like that. And there was a whole dynamic of the show in the very beginning, right? And most people say he's Raph, but I have a better candidate for that, and I'm going to get to that in a little bit. Ross is 100% lust. That's where I would put that. What do you think, Chris?
Oh, yeah, because who else would you put there?
I know, right? Ross is the obvious choice for that. But
yeah,
most people switch these, okay? So Ross, in my opinion, is lust. Wrath would be Phoebe, in my opinion. Now, most people say lust is Phoebe because of her sexuality, but that's not her core character, right? She's the quirky, she's the fun one. She stood out. She stands out for everybody that's a little bit different or has different upbringing, which I love that there's a character like that. And I love the fact that in the reunion they even had people come back and said thank you for being that way and doing it so well. Well, the reason why Phoebe's wrath, in my opinion, is how often do you see her threatening her other friends or even talking about how she was a mugger at the time? She actually even mugged Ross at one point, too, right, when they were kids. Give me your money. Oh, my God, it was you. Just, oh, my gosh. Yeah, so in my opinion, Phoebe is definitely wrath. She's way more outgoing than most of the other people or the cast and stuff like that, too, especially with her authoritativeness. Like she bossed, like even there's a whole episode of her bossing. She's bossing Monica and Rachel around, right? She even like corrals them when they're misbehaving. She's like, "Oh, if we were in prison, you guys would be my bitches," you know, that kind of stuff. Now the next one, Rachel, 100% is Rachel Greed out of the 7 Deadly Sins.
Oh yeah,
100%. How often is she talking about gossip and just being in everybody's business and stuff like that about that? But also, she's the one that's always wanting a job in shopping and in her dad's credit cards and all this other stuff. So, there we go. Very easy.
They even mentioned that. Like, the creators even said that. It said because, Rachel Green can be a very unlikable character. They said this from the reunion. And it took a specific voice and person to kind of bring those... You understand these are her traits, but also that she's also likable. So they said that's why Jennifer Aniston was a great casting for. But they absolutely state that Rachel Green can be a dislikable character because of all her greediness.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And how hard it was because Rachel was the last person that they casted, right? Not only for the fact that Jennifer was on a different show, and they were trying to get her with her friends, but the fact that how many people were coming in and they were just reading the wrong way for Rachel Green to make her not likable, which is the complete opposite that you want. You know? Next one, Pride. 100%, I believe Monica Geller would be Pride. She wants to clean everything. She's not only that, she's like controlling everybody. She's trying to push Ross to go after the one UK ex-wife as well too, and controlling his lifestyle that way.
Emily.
Yeah, Emily. Oh my God, I hated that character so much. Out of the whole show, that's the one character I was like, oh my God, write her off. Write her off.
Janice was the character that everybody hated.
No, Janice, I was funny. The dynamic with Joey made her likable. You know, she was funny. How often she kept showing up. Like at the very end, the last time you see her showing up, she's considering buying a house in the same neighborhood Chandler and Monica are moving to out of New York. And then they're just sitting like, oh my God, like the whole line. And then Chandler's just like, sure. You know, just like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't she be there? And by the way, out of any character or role I've seen in TV or film, Chris, I'm going to pay you a little compliment here. You speak and talk and act very much like Chandler.
Fuck, I knew it. Yeah, I know.
You do, dude. That's a compliment.
Tell me that.
I know, but it's like when I rewatched the Overwatch scene where you're being very affectionate toward Carter, which I think is weird. It's got the same last name as yours. Anyway, that's besides the point. When you're talking about that, and then I look at when Chandler and Monica are getting together and they're about to be engaged, that whole conversation, I was like, God, there's such a parallel between you two, between you and Chandler, man. It's nuts.
Yeah,
It's
I've heard
nuts.
that from a couple different people.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's completely nuts. To answer your question, Remote Skills, about who would be the 7th, I'll tell you this is like a kind of a two-parter. The 7th one is not actually in the cast of Friends. It's Gunther is Envy. Because she's always envy of all the guys that Rachel is after. He wants Rachel, but he never actually gets the chance. And not only that, the audience themselves are envy of the 7th because we're always involved in their lives. We want to see what's going to happen next. But in my opinion, in the show, Gunther is the envy part of the 7 Deadly Sins. And speaking of Chandler, Chris, that was so sad to watch to watch Matthew Perry talk about the issues that he was having with the show, because if you go back to what he was saying, how hard it was to think about being the funny guy. You're supposed to be the funny guy, right, of the show,
Oh
of the
yeah,
Friends,
yeah,
and how he's like he would say something the audience would not give him the laugh he want, and how much that could destroy your confidence in yourself.
yeah.
That I was like, oh my gosh, I was not returning to Rachel, and I was like, that is hard to even comprehend. I mean, think about it. That's so tough to consider.
Well,
Like wow, that is.
well, I mean, did you know that like stand-up comedian suicide rate is almost as high as doctors
I did not.
because of that?
I did not know that. I
If
didn't even
if
know
you
doctors were
Google
that high.
if you yeah Google a doctor's the highest.
Wow.
If you Google it, well, actually, I don't know anymore because it might be up there with military, ex-military. Because comedians in this long, long. I mean, think about it. If you hang your hat on being creative and being funny,
Mhm.
and if you're not funny, then
Mhm.
what is your purpose? And then,
Right.
alcohol and drugs is heavy in that circuit, and a lot of people have stories. A lot of comedians will have stories about how a friend of theirs killed themselves because people weren't their jokes weren't landing. And it's true. Eddie Murphy talked about it. Eddie Murphy
Yeah.
talked about how the immense pressure. Chris Farley, the immense pressure, and
Robin
granted his
Williams.
was different. Robin Williams, yeah, and these were obviously Farley had. I think I don't know why. I don't know what that came out of that, but Williams was depressive. But these people just killed themselves because of yeah. I guess yeah, the depressive nature
Mhm.
of stand-up comedy. So it's not out of it's not shocking to hear, but I
Mhm.
guess because he thought that, and then again, creatives put themselves under such pressure. Like, there's the creative person's crux where it's imposter syndrome is a big deal. It's been around for forever, so it's like, you wake up, you think to yourself, "Fuck, am I a joke? Have I all been baked my way here?" And yeah, but Matt Perry, to hear him talk about that, I thought all those people had the confidence of stone. They were unflappable, but
Mhm.
I guess not. So yeah, that was something else I learned from the reunion.
Yeah. I give the reunion a 10 out of 10, man, as reunions go for shows and stuff. Everybody wanted one. I thought it was amazing. We got a lot of information that as fans we didn't know before. We got to see them on the set. We got to see them redoing like a table read or even some of the scenes, even with the quiz scene. I'm gonna watch it again because it was just fun. It was fun to see them. And how cool was it to have like that costume wardrobe
Oh
little
yeah.
showcase? Like when Justin Bieber came out with the Spudnik costume, James Schroeder went nuts. He's like, "What? Justin Bieber's wearing my costume?" Like, he was.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I mean, the energy from the cast, seeing them all together, just drop back into the roles and doing the table reads and stuff. That was really cool. I enjoyed the heck out of the reunion, man. I thought it was huge. I think I would love to see the numbers of how many people watched it because over what was it? I think over two was it 20 million or something like that? Over 200 million watched the finale of Friends
Yeah.
when it was
Yeah.
live. I mean,
The
it touched so many people's lives, man. I mean, it still to this day does. It still reruns in other countries and stuff like that. People doing quotes from the film or show and stuff like that, and just telling how much this show meant to them. You know?
And that's the biggest part about it. I think that's what entertainment brings to people and the arts and I think that whether it's a book, whether it's a TV series, whether it's a film or a poem, I think that the art is usually the first thing that people like to say that we need to reduce or we need to cut. But in times when people are against the wall and that really fucking suck, you're gonna find something in the arts section that's gonna save you. Like the guy
Mhm.
that I think it's from India said he was losing his dad, and every
Yeah.
day his dad got closer to death, and he found friends to kind of jumpstart his spirits. And I thought that was great, because everybody's
Yeah.
got that. So I think it's important to realize that the arts, for as much as people are like, well, let's cut art funding, what does this do? I think, and when the shit hits the fan, that's where you're gonna go. You're gonna go to music. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody goes to music when they're sad or when they're mad or when they're happy.
Yeah. They
or,
want to
you know,
hear it. They want to feel a certain way, and they want like
Thank you.
company. Yeah.
Exactly, and I think you're right. I think that the reunion was great. I think the reunion, people have been clamoring for a Friends reunion for fucking at least
Ever.
a decade now.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And how many times did they ask me, "You guys gonna do a Friends reunion?" No. All of a sudden, 2021, we got it. We got him on the
Yeah.
set. And it wasn't just an interview, you know. It wasn't some talk show host where
Yeah.
they talk about
It
it
was
for
fun.
half an hour. It was fun. It was engaging. They were on the set. They were hanging out. They were doing table reads from the script that they did 20 years ago and stuff, you know.
Yeah, I thought that was so cool. I
yeah.
loved the format. The format of the reunion made it interesting because you're right. If it was, you know, 6 chairs with you know, a guy asking questions, I probably would have tuned out. That wouldn't have been great. But the way they did it, the way they kind of floated through the trivia game, the 2 table reads, because there were, I think they read over 2 scenes, and the fashion show, it moved. Like I never got bored, and I was worried I would, you know, because I've known a lot about it. It's been out for almost 2 decades now. So, but yeah, it was cool. I liked it way more than I thought I would. And I remember texting you after I'd seen it, and being happy that we were talking about it because it gave me a reason to really kind of sit down and watch it and probably watch it again. So,
right. Yeah. And it's funny if you look back and like rewatch the show and stuff like that too. There's some funny parts and you got a lot of learning experiences, but it's funny to think about this, and I love this dynamic. The friends, the character, like the people that they go through, they're honestly not very nice people. They're horrible friends. They're horrible people. How often do you watch it and go, "Oh my god, did they just do that to that person?" You know?
yeah.
Can you believe it? Like how many times did Joey walk out of a restaurant and turn to one of the guys like, "Hey, thanks for dinner, man." "Well, I thought you paid." "What?" And then they just keep walking, you know?
Yeah.
Like just that kind of stuff. And I've got like a list of like 25 times, just like really quick, like just the small stuff, like of how horrible these people are. Like Ross being completely obsessed with traditional gender roles, you know, or Monica just assuming her maid is stealing from her, you know, or
Oh yeah.
Monica fuming whenever someone tries to do something nice for her. She doesn't like it, you know, and she like finds ways of not allowing people to be nice to her. The whole Chandler and Kathy thing, because Kathy was dating Joey at the time, and she cheated on Joey with Chandler, you know, and then that's a continuing thing as well too. Or Joey sabotaging a young actor that's going for the role that he wants, that's in his class, you know, like just the small stuff, or the guitar, like just tons of stuff like that the friends are just sabotaging people out in the world just to get what they want, and they make it comedic, and people are like, "Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, it is horrible. Don't do that."
Right, and that's part of it, because if you can live vicariously through someone else, you won't do it. You're not going to dine and dash. You're not going to try and bang your best friend's ex-girlfriend.
Right, or tell people that the guy that you're after is actually gay when you actually want him instead.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, you know what I mean. It's like, that's why it's funny, because it's presented in a comedic way. So yeah, absolutely. And you're right. Look at it through that lens. These people are kind of assholes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about with the reunion or the show?
No, man. I thought it made me go back and realize how funny it was. I'll say that. And I have a problem of watching things over and over. And now I don't watch a lot of comedy. It's not, you know, as a filmmaker, I try and gravitate towards things that I can take from, like horror movies. Like, how can I ratchet suspense up? So for me to watch a comedy, it's rare. But when I go back and I see some of the clips, I caught myself laughing at some shit. So I haven't seen an episode of Friends in over a decade, easy.
Right.
And so, you know,
I can't say the same thing. I watched it like a week before.
So, okay. So you know much better than I do. But there are times when they're going, and it's still just as funny as I remember it being when I was younger. And so that's the biggest thing about it. When something can be funny 20 years later, and it's like, then it has a certain hold on you. And I think that Friends does, and that's why it got the response that it did. I mean, you mentioned the numbers. They're not official yet, because it still just came out, was it this week, that some outlets are
Thursday?
So the numbers are probably coming out on Tuesday, because it's a holiday weekend.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You know, I'm just gonna Google it just right for shits and gigs right now. Let me see here.
I have heard that it's pushing Justice League numbers.
Really?
If you have Variety and Hollywood Reporter had something out, and they're saying it's pushing Justice League's numbers. So
that's
the numbers
insane.
I know.
Good for you, HBO.
Yeah, and you know, now they're talking about moving to the Peacock, because the Peacock is NBC's station. That's how you know, where The Office ended up, and that's probably where a lot of the NBC sitcoms and Emmy-winning dramas are going to end up too, because that's NBC's streaming station. You know, so we'll see.
Oh my God! Here's the first set of numbers. Friends: The Reunion was recorded over 1 million views in less than 7 hours.
I believe it.
In less than 7 hours, guys. Come on. If you haven't seen this reunion on HBO Max, you guys have to. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
Chris, what are we talking about next week, man?
I think we're gonna do either Conjuring 3, which is probably the safer one because that's on HBO Max. You don't have to go to a theater out and see it, and go to a theater and see
That's it, guys. You heard it here first. Conjuring 3.
Was it done? We could do Conjuring 3, or we could do A Quiet Place 2, which I hear is killing it at the theaters right now. But again, if you don't want to go out, let's do the Conjuring 3 to play it safe, and then if we get a curveball, we can roll off to
let's say Conjuring 3 because honestly that's my favorite horror franchise.
Wonderful.
I love those movies. James Wan is a freaking master at horror. He's not
directing it though.
I know he did the first two.
Yeah. Okay,
but I chalk it up to the fact that a Saw director and creator made this series. Right? He's not directing this one. I mean, he's done so much, and I would love to. Once we get to our actual topics, when we run out of stuff to talk about, when we go to directors, that guy has got a huge range of what he can do. You know, Fast and the Furious, Aquaman, Saw, Conjuring. He's very good at horror. He's very good at putting you into the aspect. So I'm excited. We're getting to horror even before Halloween. I love it. You know.
No one loves it more than me, bro.
I know. And Rachel too. I mean, you guys. I wanted to get her on the show again to talk to you just like for a whole hour about horror. I'll just sit here. I'll sit here and smoke hookah.
Maybe we do that. Like maybe we bring, because I know Jessica really enjoys the Conjuring universe too. So maybe we bring Jessica.
I've got a better idea.
Roundtable.
No, I got a better idea.
That's not a better idea.
No,
I had the best idea.
No. We put Jessica in your seat and we put Rachel in my seat, and we'll let the women talk about the horror stuff.
That is a much better idea. Damn it! All right,
I would love to see that. Let's do that. Let's do a reversal on that. We could be the guests. We could have our own little we could come on to our own show and talk about it for 30 seconds and then just see how they do. Because Rachel watches not just mainstream horror. She'll find some random horror movie we've never heard about on Amazon and sit down and watch it. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's like, oh, Willem Dafoe's in this. It's gonna be good. I come in 20 seconds into the film. I'm like, oh, I'm out. Nope, can't do it. Ugh. This guy's getting his private parts sawed off with a rusted saw. I can't. Ugh. It's like I can't do. But dude, that'd be cool. Let's talk about it. Let's watch Conjuring, and then we'll get into a horror thing at some point, guys. You guys want to see that? Follow us on YouTube. We got our own YouTube channel. Subscribe.
YouTube.
Drop it in the comments. Talk about it with this show. Talk about what you guys liked. Talk to you about what you'd like to see us talk about next. We appreciate everybody out there. We've got our own YouTube channel now instead of just the Nate Mill Gaming channel as well too, where most of our videos are. We're starting to put these on the ReelChat on YouTube, just how it says right there, guys, right above on those chairs. And Chris, this is a great show, man. I'm excited to watch Conjuring 3.
Too, man.
It comes out when?
Comes out Friday.
Nice. I'm excited. It's my day off. I have Thursdays and Fridays off now. I might jump.
Oh shit! Call of Duty time. Now I know.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Call of Duty time, you want a game for a little bit? I'm about to get off, and then we can do that.
Let's do that.
All right.
All right, man.
Guys, check this out on YouTube. Follow, subscribe. Please share, comment what you guys think about the show and what we should do next. We love you all. Thank you very much for joining the ReelChat. I'm Nate Mill.
And Chris Carter.
In ReelChat. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Have a great Sunday, guys.
Hey, good Sunday.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of